Hello and welcome everyone to the fifth session of the Science Month, which is a science conference which is organized by the ISA Kolkata Science Club and Campus Radio. And we have had four very successful talks. And today we have a very interesting organization with us. And without wasting any more time, I will pass it on to Shayantan, who would be introducing the speakers and the organization. I hope you guys have a lot of fun.
So, hello, I am Shayantan Khan, a first year BSMS undergrad in ISA Kolkata. So, I will be the host today. So, audience, welcome to the fifth session of the interactive Sky Month session talk organized by ISA Kolkata, especially a program designed by the joint collaboration of ISA Kolkata Campus Radio and Science Club ISA Kolkata. So, on behalf of the entire team, we wish all the ones present over here a very good evening. Today, we have three speaker guests from the Public Journal Club of Mexico. Our first honorable speaker, Diego Pérez Vázquez, is an immunology and neuroscience enthusiast who just started his PhD at Andreas Diefenbach's lab in the Max Planck Institute for Infection Biology, trying to understand ILC biology. He did his bachelor studies in biomedical research at the National University of Mexico, UNAM, where he made a thesis focused on T-cell biology to earn his bachelor degree. Before starting his PhD, he spent a year at the Albert Einstein College of Medicine in New York, working on the interneuron regulation of cortical activity. On his free time, he likes biking around the city, taking pictures, and playing chess online. Wow, that's really great. Moving on to today's next honorable speaker, Emmanuel Flores Espinoza, who completed his bachelor's degree in biomedical science at National Autonomous University of Mexico, where he carried out research projects on topics such as cancer biology, immunology, and signal transduction. Currently, Emmanuel is about to start a master in biochemical science where he will study the molecular regulation of different GPCRs. He counts with one published article and has been awarded with Olimpiadas de la Ciencia Fellowship by the Mexican Academy of Science and Contreras Fellowship. In 2015, Emmanuel won the second prize in National Biology Olympiad. Since 2018, he is the student president of Biomedical Science, member of the Faculty of Medicine's Government Council, and student member of the Mexican Biochemistry Society. Then we have our third honorable speaker, Eugenio Contreras, who did his bachelor in biology at the National Autonomous University of Mexico. Then he started his master's degree in the same university, focusing on the study of the mechanism of regulation of the immune system. In 2019, he started his PhD studying the mechanisms working with biology of Treg. He has been awarded with the Coca-Cola Foundation Fellowship and Contreras Fellowship. He has taken classes at different universities such as the University of California, Los Angeles campus and the University of Minho, Braga, Portugal. He has presented his work in national and international conferences. Eugenio is very passionate about science and the science communication. He firmly believes that science should be free, open, and shared in an egalitarian manner. So, dear audience, gear up and tighten your seatbelts to explore today's amazing scientific extravaganza. Also, please feel free to ask any sort of queries related to today's topic in the live Q&A session in YouTube. We will surely take them at the end. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this really nice introduction, and thank you for the invitation.
Thank you. I'm happy for being here.
Thank you for the presentation.
So today we're going to talk a little bit, it's going to be like a more story or discussion of how this initiative came to life, and here are two of my colleagues and friends who going to present with us and tell us the story about how all this started. So, Emmanuel?
Yeah, thank you, Eugenio. Can you change the slide where we are going to present about Public Journal Club? How was this? What is Public Journal Club? Which problem is responding this initiative? Well, you know, this is a paper. I think all of you know what is a paper. All of you maybe have read one paper in your life. Do you know what is and what you can find information about scientific research in this format, principally. Then you look for a paper when you can obtain a specific type of information, of maybe because you have working in research and you want to know what is in your area, or how to how to what is about your research area. So next, please. Well, what do you get from a paper is different in each paper, but mostly in more general point of view is information. You have information with a paper about principally about with the figures about the discoveries that these that certain research group obtain in their lab, but in that and that's the principally reason, because you was looking for that paper. But another important thing that we obtain from reading a paper is questions. Questions are questions become every when you read a paper. Every time when you read a paper, you have questions about what happens with this experiment, how was carried, what or about the conclusions the authors says in the article. You also have questions about different things that are present in the paper, but with that information you can do different questions. So these questions occasion mostly you can address with different manners. How to answer your questions? That is a problem that we do not thinking about, but how to answer your questions when you read a paper, and mostly you can think that, well, I have to simply to look for another paper and looking for that information if there is another research group that address that question. But have you think what if the authors of the article answer your questions? Well, that is one thing that Public Journal Club does. Of that Public Journal Club is aimed to do. So we have the direct. We have a lot of not only problems with, but in the context of that we had the last year, we have different conditions. So we have the direct interaction with authors. There's a problem, but we have also like a few open spaces for scientific discussion. We have the COVID-19 lockdown. We have poor access to frontier knowledge in the developed countries. We are from Mexico, and Mexico has different access to knowledge that are countries like in Europe and USA. And also there is a problem about how, where to have some direct scientific a scientific meeting like a congress, you have to you have to have money, and you have, and mostly in Mexico that is a problem. You cannot go to the congress that you want because you don't have the money to go to Europe or to go to the USA. So that was a such that was a lot of things that were present along the last year among and historically in our context. So that next, please. So that Public Journal Club searched and was responded with this initiative. Eugenio. Then Eugenio became with this Twitter, and here the story of Public Journal Club.
Thank you, Manuel. So basically, as Emmanuel mentioned before, we had this. At least I had this problem because I really like to join this scientific discussion, but it was somehow impossible to connect with scientists around the world. And one of the platforms that helped me through this, it was Twitter. I don't know if you guys have Twitter, but I'd highly recommend you to join Twitter and the academic community there. So during pandemic, I noticed that many labs from around the world, they started to have journal clubs online, and they publish on Twitter the picture of their journal club. And by that time, the journal clubs of my laboratory were over for 3 weeks or 4. So as I was needed of scientific discussion, I remember I write a lab in the US, and I asked them if I could join their journal club. And the answer was, well, you can't join the journal club because it's not a public space, it's a private group, blah, 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 blah. So I was sad at that moment, but then I decided, well, why cannot, there's a lot of community here in Twitter, why don't we do a journal club? And basically in immunology, and I added the name public because I wanted to be anyone could join the team. So I started with this tweet in March of 2020, and people start joining, and that's, the next week we had the opportunity to discuss. We were mostly 6 or 7 persons joining. Here was Diego, it was Emmanuel, Aranzazu, Carlos. We discussed this paper. It was really a beautiful paper, and by this time we had these weekly journal clubs, the 7 of us, and then Carlos, a member of the team, he suggested that as we were all in the pandemic, we could also invite the authors to join the session. They could join for a Q&A. As Emmanuel mentioned before, every time we read a paper, we have this, at least I, and I think most of us, we came out with a lot of questions that might not be solved because we don't have the opportunity to discuss the paper with the ones who made the science there. So yes, so what is Public Journal Club? So we are a digital platform for scientific article discussion concerning the areas of biological and biomedical sciences. We attend to a need that exists in developing countries, the lack of spaces for discussion and analysis of scientific publications. So basically what we every week we discuss a paper, it's open to anyone, and at the end of the discussion, we invite the author to join. That is basically Public Journal Club. And we started as a group of immunologists, but later people with the same need of scientific discussion and people that all shared this problem that we couldn't discuss science with the ones who actually made the articles. Then people join, and now we have developmental biology, neurobiology, and computational biology, and we all share the same passion of science, and we all share this passion for discussion science, and we have many questions, and every week we have a guest, which is really, it's really cool for our education, and it helps us to build networks and acquire new knowledge in really egalitarian manner. Everyone could join, everyone could ask, and we have created this space that we think that is really egalitarian for everyone to ask a question without to be judged. So yeah, it's a really cool space. And basically our mission is we are an organization promoting the exchange of information around the latest scientific advances in top research areas. We facilitate networking between science students from developing countries and the international scientific community. What we wanted to bridging the gap every week. So mostly we focus on Latin American students at the beginning. Now we are open to anyone, but we wanted to students from Latin America can discuss science with the ones who made it in the US or in Europe. You know, those university of research who have like really a lot of money and they do cool science. We want to bring this science to the students. And then later we came up with the project that is called Key Concepts, and Diego, we're going to talk about that.
Okay, so well, this project Key Concepts is part also of this public journal club, and it started almost at the same time. But the aim of this Key Concept was to organize a session in which you could introduce the most important concepts in a paper or in a publication to students that didn't really have the knowledge or didn't have the experience to learn or to read a paper and get all these questions like from the first time. So in order to help them and to promote the asking of questions to these authors, we started with these Key Concept sessions. And so yeah, the idea is to help understand not only how the publication was made, but the importance of this publication. Like, why is it so special? Why are we discussing this science? And then when you understand all this, you can ask questions to the author at the end. So it's easier when you know the importance of these publications. So these publications are, we are inviting PhD students or young PIs that are working in the same area that is, or in an area related to the topic of the paper. So they give a particular session. Now, sorry, in like a cumulative of sessions. In the map, you can see that most of our attendees are from Mexico and the US, but we are also having some people from India or from China, from Germany, from Brazil. We are we are expanding, and as you can see, every month we are having more presence of Asia. So it would be super nice that after you hear about this talk and you can get in contact with us and you can join our sessions. We have, as we said before, immunology, neuroscience, developmental biology, and computational biology. So you can choose whatever you want. And it would be super nice that we can increase this network. That's one of the main goals. And as you can see here, most of the people that join are from Facebook and Twitter, from social media, but we also have like this personal communication in which the student tells the other student that, oh, this initiative it's good, and yeah, just by telling your friends or your colleagues, this project is growing every time. Public Journal Club also differentiates from other journal clubs because it's the main thing is that it's organized by students for students. So the idea is that we have this very nice open niche in which you can ask questions, as Eugenio said, without fear to be judged. You can ask any question and you can ask to the author. So then you can like gain experience, you can get very beautiful insights from the authors. And you can ask, as I said, any kind of question, and you share the knowledge. Everyone shares what they know to the people who doesn't. And this way we believe we are eliminating or turning down the walls and the geographical and physical barriers that sometimes block the developmental of science in countries that maybe we don't have the money or the infrastructure to make first world science, but we can discuss it. And sometimes we can even like get beautiful ideas to the authors, and sometimes the discussion is we usually have a very nice discussions with them. And also with this discussion and this getting to know the authors firsthand, you start networking in science, which is super important these days, and that in your career. So that's we're about to finish, but I would like to tell you about our perspective from the future of like what's next for Public Journal Club. So the idea is also we not only want to stay with these 4 topics we are creating, we want to keep this. And if people are like, we have some audience that it's very interested in evolution or in microbiology, we can start opening different branches to make this project even bigger. We want one of the main objectives is to reach audience from low and high income countries, but to democratize science. And we want to like reach all the scientific community, and that everyone knows that sometime like this paper is going to be discussed by Public Journal Club, and you can get there and join and ask the authors very interesting questions. So the more people that joins, the better. And we can build build bridges, start networking, and do network with other organizations to make science growth. And we are also aiming to start to make this project. This project is free, so you don't have to pay for any of the sessions. You just have to fill out a form, and then you are able to be there and discuss science like firsthand with the author. And all this effort is made by us, so sometimes it's hard to make it sustainable, but we are trying to find ways to sustain this project and make it greater. So as just to end, I'd like to finish with this quote by Ron Bale from the UCSF that I think it reflects the spirit and the idea behind the Public Journal Club, which is that any high-profile paper might be largely forgotten after a few years, but friendship in science, however, can easily last years and often a lifetime. So we are doing this, we are discussing articles, we are getting to know different people, we are getting to know super nice scientists. So I hope you like it, and I hope in the future we can see you in one of the Public Journal Club sessions. So thank you.
Thank you so much, all of the speakers, Emmanuel, Eugenio, and Diego. And it's really great how you guys have created this medium of science communication for everyone, and this is how science should exactly be. So now let's just open up a bit, as in let's just have a free-form conversation, like a talk show or something, where we just talk about this entire project of yours, because people are really interested and willing to know about how such a big thing came up to be. So the first question that is in everyone's minds is how do we get people, how do we get scientists who are so established in their fields to actually come in our small group and sort of talk to a few nobodies. That's what we sort of are. We are not any established people or anything. So there is an apprehension in the minds of all students, especially undergraduates, and so we are so intimidated by big scientists. So how did you overcome this fear, and what do you want to say about this?
Well, first, I think at least I still get really nervous when the guest or the author joins the session, because you always have like this thought that I might be saying stupid questions, or I might be doing wrong, and basically one of the things that we didn't mention, but at the end of each session we have this sort of tradition that we used to name that is called a take-home message. But we at the beginning we start with like a take-home message of their work, so the authors will talk about their work, but at the end we now ask for a take-home message for will tell us about their life or their how they come up with science. And you come to realize that the authors or your guests are also human beings. They also have such a problems, maybe the same problem that you are getting in your research. So with that instance, I think we have created this space that is really as Diego mentioned, niche for discussion, to ask without any judgment. So yes, but yeah, we at least I still feel very nervous when I get a response, or the author is joining, but at the end it's really, we have really such a great time in every public journal club session. And I think one of the things that is really crucial for the project is I would mention that yes, I had the idea, but if I hadn't had the team that I have now, or the people that joined the Public Journal Club, I couldn't be, the program couldn't be as the project is. So, I think I'm really grateful for the people that are in the team: Diego, Emmanuel, Aranzu, Carlos. Everyone has done everything in their hands to work. And, you have to be patient, and I think friendship is important, and connections are also important, to be friendly. I mean, if you're friendly with everyone, you don't know when or how, people could, help you through your way. So I don't know if Diego or Emmanuel want to add something.
I would like to just say that sometimes scientists want to talk about their work, and they are really happy to join. Sometimes when you're like on the student side, like us, we are saying like, oh, these guys are like the biggest guys, and they are like the best guys in the field. But when you come and when you ask them to join, most of the time you get a positive response, because of course it's trial and error, but people that are happy to join are the ones that are worth discussing with, because they have the same ideas of having open science. So yeah, it's not as hard as it sounds, but it requires a lot of work.
Yeah, I only want to say that science can be more open, but science also can be more friendly. By this initiative, we also want to do that. That science is more will be more friendly, and you are in a room in Zoom or in a digital room, but we want to recreate that feeling when you are with your lab mates and your lab and maybe your lab head scientist that you are discussing closely a paper or a research article or findings, and that close atmosphere that of friends and discussion without taboos and without barriers. We want to recreate that. So that I think that our project has a lot of things to do, and will be interesting to have also more presence of people of India.
Yeah, thanks so much for your insights, and absolutely, we would love to have a similar sort of discussion clubs, public journal clubs, in which we have Indian students too, and because there is a general apprehension of scientists, because we are afraid of and intimidated by these big names, and you always wonder if we can reach out to them. But as being a member of PJC myself, I've seen that scientists are really willing to share their research, and we just have to reach out to them. So that's absolutely great. So the next question is obviously is not very related to the topic, but we can. It's a burning topic. It's a burning question right now. Is about the question of open science in itself. Like we all know about things like Sci-Hub and Library Genesis, which has helped us a lot, especially our students from developing countries. And I don't know if you guys are aware or not, but the Indian government, the publications, publications have actually sort of have actually filed a lawsuit against Sci-Hub and Library Genesis in India, and now they are trying to shut it all down. So I'd like to hear your views about it. How do you view science to be, and what is your vision of science, and how do you think it can be achieved, an open science or an open source way to look at science? because the current model of science is very privilege based, as is very obvious. So what are your thoughts on this?
So I would say that like this problem of open science, it's like a international discussion, and everywhere you're having these problems. Like I think Sci-Hub and this science to a few people, but I think it's impossible now. It would be impossible to stop, because even if they block it, you can always have a contact with the group leader. You can always ask a paper via email and ask the authors to send it to you, and usually they do. So there are other ways to try to open science. We try to do it in our very small way, but we hope like this we can inspire other people to make it the same way.
Yes, I would also like to mention that this is one of the things that really, when I was undergrad, I was thinking about that. That we all are discussing really science from papers such as Nature, Cell, Science. Those are papers that are never open science, so you have to pay for them. And so we also think that those papers are the good ones, and we never look for those research that are not published on any other papers, which in fact it might have really good background there, and we have because that's the way we were taught, that those were the cool science is made in the paper you have to pay for. So I think with this initiative, what we are trying to bring up is somehow create these spaces for the scientific discussion open. And as it happens with the congresses, you have all the symposiums, you have to pay thousands of dollars, for attending, to move from another country. People in the US and Europe are most easily to move there, but we as people from developing countries, we need to find sources. And I think open science is really way, and I truly believe that science should be open, and I'm really open to the Science Hub. I think it has been wonderful for all students around the world. I think I'm really open to this discussion.
Yeah, I think that it's important to mention that not only the access to an article must be more free or more open to all the people, and also for the people that has no money to access a journal. But there also there is a need to more open access to all the things that surrounds an article. And one thing that surrounds that the access of the information of the article is the article discussion. So yeah, we want to extend the ideas of open access to more areas. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you for your insights, and indeed, it would be the best for us people to have some sort of a way out to do science, and actually access all these papers that we discuss, especially all these closed source journals such as Nature and Cell and Science. And I believe open source publication should be the way out, and we need better models of scientific publications. Now we have some questions from attendees. The first question is by Fajal, and they are asking, is asking authors to share their papers through mail or other contacts more effective and practical according to you than obtaining the same from a open platform or a pirated platform such as Sci-Hub or LibGen?
I would say like Sci-Hub, the magic of Sci-Hub and Library Genesis is that you can just type the paper and you get it right away. Sometimes I've had like 2 papers in all the time I have used Sci-Hub that you cannot find the paper, and that's when you can write the author. If you don't want to do it, writing the author, sometimes it takes like a couple of days between like you writing and they replying. So for sure it takes more effort to write emails.
Yeah, that's correct, and that's why we need these systems such as Sci-Hubs, and we cannot let it just be banned. So the next question is by Aisha, and they're asking that why do the authors, are willing to dedicate their time to come and present? Do they actually ask for a fee, or is it all for free out of sheer interest? So yeah, maybe you could tell a bit more about this.
Well, it's really, I think as me as a scientist, I think it's really cool that people ask me about my research, and we have just to answer your question, we don't pay anything. I mean, they are really willing to do that. Sometimes as we do it on Saturday, people might say no, but that's the only reason that they say no. Most of them, we have really positive response, and we have really this cool experience in the Public Journal Club Developmental Biology, where one of our guests, after he had completed his undergrad, master's, PhD, postdoc, and he had already been now a professor at Germany, and he told us this is the very first time that someone asked about my research. Imagine after 12 years of education that nobody asked about the research. I think people are really willing to do that, and they're really happy to do that. So please don't be afraid to ask. If you are willing to ask to invite someone, I think they were gonna say yes. We actually don't make them to present. They just join for 15 or 20 minutes, for half an hour or an hour. So basically, it's not that effort. Maybe it would be different if we ask them, you have to do a presentation, you have to present your work. That might be the problem, that they might say no. But as we only ask them to join a Zoom session and, answer some questions, it's really easy to have a positive response.
Yeah, so I hope that answers your question, Aisha. And now there are some more doubts from students who are in our institute, and they are wondering that, okay, it's their view that biological publications or publications in biology are in a way more accessible to undergraduates than, say, physics publications or chemistry publications. So it might not be as viable for undergraduates to have a physics journal club, for example. So I don't know if you guys know a lot, because you guys are not physicists, but they would love to hear your views on this.
Yeah, we have we are diversifying the Public Journal Club. We have more areas, but we don't have yet people that come to us and say, well, I am physicist, I'm a mathematician, or anyway, and say I want to make a Public Journal Club in this area. So yeah, it's interesting in those areas. Maybe we can talk and see if there is possible to create that area. But unfortunately, our direct contacts or more direct contacts that have talking with us and say, yeah, I want to make this area, are more of biological science.
I would like to add to that we are like in the key concepts part of the Public Journal Club. It's more like a lecture in which a PhD student gives a lecture, and usually it's they have very nice names, and they are like focused on one aspect of like biology, or it could be the same to physics. So you can then, like as an undergrad, we have like a huge response of undergrads to that sessions, because they want to know more of that specific theme. So that would be a way to target it to undergrads. relating it with a scientific publication afterwards.
Yeah, thank you so much for the answers. And I think that we can at least try to have those who are from other majors, they can try to open a journal club and see if there must be some publications which are accessible to undergrads. And if they find it interesting, they should go ahead and try to contact authors. Now, the next question is again a very general one. So say someone in our institute is very inspired by this presentation and wants to open a journal club right now. So can you guide them, sort of what sort of maybe a checklist of what sort of things someone should do to, go ahead and have a journal club, maybe some mistakes that you did that you won't want to repeat, or maybe some interesting ideas that you want to share, or some tips, that would be great.
So I would say that first you have to, find people that are passionate of the scientific journal discussion. If you don't have that good, like minimum 5 people that are willing to discuss and read a paper, and have an active discussion, that would not work. I think you would have to have a team and that is passionate for science, focusing on a particular topic. Immunology and the developmental team found their niche in developmental biology and so forth and so on. So I think that would be the key point. And the second one, if you wanted to do like a really, like most of the same, like a public space is open, and you want to have more audience, you have to focus on your audience. What is your audience want to hear about? And, Facebook and Twitter has been a really great platform for getting in contact with many people and to hear about the journal club. Also, I think I would like to highlight the flyers that Emmanuel does that are really incredible and really captive the audience to join, what's going on. And yeah, I mean, that's it. And to have really friendly, really cool environment during the journal club, to really people not be afraid to ask, and that's, I think, we had seen people that have evolved during this project that, they were not asking, and now they are really asking really cool and questions. They are presenting papers. So yes, I think, I don't know if Diego or Emmanuel has another point of view, but I think that's it. Find the people to have the passion, and that's it. I mean, I think that.
Yeah, thank you so much for the advice. And so maybe you can also tell the audience about the model of your club, as in, is the Public Journal Club supported by any other organization like your institute, or is there any plans to do it? Maybe what is your relation with any institute? As in, do you want to go ahead and ask your institute to maybe provide some funding to increase your reach, or increase your even having Zoom or Google Meet will also become subscription based in the near future. So how do we tackle all this logistic stuff? What are your plans about this?
We have different plans for that. We want to. That is one of our goals to do. We are planning different strategies to get more funding, but maybe first looking for academic institutions that wants to help us, or more like learning for another non-profit organizations that are now funding, asking for advice, how they reach that, and also by funding campaigns. We don't have only one plan. We have a different plan that this year we are going to put in the practice, but we don't have an institution that is giving us funding to do this, and that is another part that is important, because Eugenio says that we need patience and we need a team that is compromised to this. All this time we have doing this by the passion of science and by our goal that is to share our knowledge or discuss or not the article with people. But yeah, in the future, if we want to grow this, we have to get some financial. That is a thing that we are going to explore more this year.
Regarding the relation with the institutions, we are not we don't depend on any institution, because although we are from the same university, we didn't want to be bonded to the university. So we started doing it by ourselves, and we got lucky because we have people, different members have different Zoom accounts that we could use for free. So that was really helpful at the beginning. So yeah, sometimes it's just looking at ways on how to do things for free.
Yeah, great. And I think that's a very great idea, because being an open source initiative, we should always try to do everything in an economically neutral way. So yeah, that's really great. And I don't have any more questions, but you guys are free to add anything, or advise the people who might be interested in opening a journal club here in the institute themselves, and sort of words of encouragement from experienced people like you guys. So maybe you guys can go ahead and say something to everyone in the audience who are interested in having a journal club. Yeah.
I'd like to say something that I was really afraid when I was a grad. Always ask questions. There's never, and you might hear this really a lot, but please, really ask questions if you have doubts, because you might think this is a really stupid question, but it might come out a really good question, and it might change the way an author thinks about their work or whatever, have an initiative, ask questions, and yes, I have passion for what you. One other thing I get from the take-home message from our journal club is you might read something different from what you are usually read. I most of the time I read immunology, but multidisciplinarity is now the best way for doing science. And so if you know about other topics, about other cool science, you might integrate those ideas to your own research, even if it's not the principal topic of your research. So yeah, ask questions and be passionate. Read a lot. So
Yeah, thank you very much for the insights. And I too agree that reading scientific journal is a culture we should all develop from the young ages, from undergraduates. And I think this would be a great idea for undergraduates to actually go on and read a bit about the actual publications and see how actual science is done. Had for today, and I hope you guys all enjoyed the session. And if you guys have any more questions, feel free to go ahead to their websites. The website is publicjournalclub.org. You can go to their Twitter handle, their Facebook sites, and also other social media platforms where they are available. And I hope the people from Public Journal Club will welcome your attendance. And also, if you want to be a part and contribute, you can also go to them, or you can also make your own journal clubs and collaborate maybe in the near future. So that's what we'd be hoping, that we'll soon have our own journal club, and we'll be planning collaborations with the PJC. So that's what we hope. So Thank you guys for being here and giving this presentation. Thank you all for taking all this time out of your busy schedules and helping us out in this small talk. And I hope you guys have great days. Thank you for being here and listening to the talk. And we'll be taking leave and ending this stream. For the future sessions of Science Month, we'll keep you updated via the web mail. And if you have any further questions, please don't be afraid to reach out. And that's all. So good night.